Hi, everybody. Welcome to Pockets Full of Soup, the storytelling show. I'm your host, Jared Petty. I'm joined today by a special guest. Who are you, good sir?
I'm Blaine Gibson. I'm from Rooster Productions, and today I brought tomato bisque in my pockets.
Tomato bisque in your pockets?
That was the requirement, right?
That was your choice of soups?
Yes.
Is tomato bisque your favorite soup?
I would say so,
Yeah?
with the grilled cheese especially.
Oh, tomato. Are you a milk or no milk in your tomato soup?
Milk. You gotta make it creamy.
Excellent.
You know?
I'm with you. Yep. That is the proper answer. What about grilled cheese sandwich? What's your grilled cheese sandwich configuration?
It's typically the Kraft cheese slices or Velveeta cheese. They're kind of interchangeable, and then you just regular old white bread, wire bread.
Do you butter your butter before or not? Okay. Mayo or no?
No.
No.
God,
Yeah. Everybody has a different take.
Do I need to leave? No.
Yeah, you can do what you like. I mean, we talk about food a lot on the show.
Okay.
It's a kind of a weird, like things that come up. The loving relationships we have with the people we're most thankful for, food, Riverdale. These things all come up a lot.
Is that the Archie show?
Yeah,
that
that's
I'm
the
not
Archie
familiar
show.
with. And
Indeed.
I should be ashamed
Hey,
of.
folks, Riverdale. All right, but let's go back to bisque in the pocket. So that's your favorite soup to carry around in a pocket. You'd like it. They have good tomato soup in cans in Japan. Have you ever had it there?
I have not been to Japan, but I'm planning on going with my girlfriend, and I think it's going to be a great time.
Typically, in the vending machines, you'll find at least two flavors of soup. You'll find corn soup and you'll find tomato soup.
Okay.
In the vending machine.
I also hear that ham sandwiches and egg and ham sandwiches are a big deal there.
That's a thing. Yeah, and some are good and some are not.
Okay.
You're going to try different stuff. I had a strawberry sandwich once there. That was very unusual.
Just like with bread and strawberries?
Bread and strawberries and cream on a sandwich. It was actually kind of, I think it had lettuce, weirdly.
I'll take it.
It was kind of good. I liked it. There's some unusual sandwiches. Also, corn on their pizza.
No,
not your thing? Yeah.
Never.
I didn't like it either.
Yeah.
What's the most adventurous food you've ever consumed?
Adventurous food? I just remember going to UT. Then the first week I was there, I lived in a co-op. And at the co-op, they serve your food. That's part of your rent, and everybody eats in the cafeteria together. And I remember having Euro meat, and at the time I never had lamb because I was just like, oh, it's so cute. I don't want to eat a lamb. And I was like halfway through it, and I was like, what is this? This is delicious. And they're like, it's Euro meat. It's not the most adventurous, but I think it's the best story.
Yeah, it tastes real good. Were
really
you
good.
ashamed that you were eating the poor baby animal?
It was so good that I just kind of block it out of my mind. Now
Yeah, I do that. I consume the flesh of lambs with glee because they're so good.
I cut it off at rabbits, though. I used to own rabbits.
Oh, okay.
Can't do rabbits.
Can't do rabbits.
I'm sure they're delicious. I don't care.
Rabbits are tasty. I like a good rabbit.
Yeah.
There was actually I used to the college I attended had a missions training center in it that had like a sort of third world village that you would go and live in, and you'd learned how to build things in the village, learned how to like jury rig all different kinds of things and create structures that were useful for helping people learn agriculture and farming. And among the things you do there is you raise a lot of your own food. So they kept rabbits and they would raise, slaughter, and eat their rabbits as a part of their daily meals.
What school is this? This is amazing.
There was a little college in Florida, just south of Orlando, that I went to, and that was an on-campus place there. A guy back in the '60s had this idea that, like, hey, instead of walking off and learning how to tell people how they ought to live their lives, why don't we instead learn to help like people in places with less access to technology? Right. Live a better standard of living. And so they went out, or at least a more convenient standard of living, and they went out and learned to run power and create showers and buildings and schools, and neat stuff.
That's way cooler than my school. I went to UT and I learned about. I watched movies. I guess that was cool. That's not like
movies are good.
A typical education is watching movies in class.
No, when you say UT, University of Texas,
yes,
being Rooster Teeth-ified, as
yes,
you are. Okay.
I was raised in Dallas, and then I went to Austin for school, and then while I was there, I got my internship. And it was just like right down the street.
But you said you watched movies in school.
Yeah, I went to. I had a degree in radio, television, and film from the University of Texas, and that was like a big part of it was film appreciation and watching movies. And I remember this class, Dr. Schatz's class. He's a very scary man, but he's very intelligent. And we used to watch like.
What made him scary?
Godfather. He was just so smart, and he had been he like was in the industry. Like he was one of those professors that you showed up and you bought his book, and the first day of school you realized that the textbook that you bought, he wrote it.
Okay, yeah.
He was one of those kinds of guys.
That's either the most wonderful or terrible situation, depending on the quality of the book. Yeah. I've kind of encountered both of those, and generally speaking, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, but he was tenured, and he just like had it all together, and he just enjoyed teaching, so it worked out.
Cool. Yeah. Excellent. So, and what'd you watch?
Oh man, I watched that was the first time that I watched like some classics. Like I watched a lot of Hitchcock. So we watched. Oh my god, what was that one where there's like a spy thing, and they had this like cool keyhole shot that I totally can't remember.
Is it Notorious?
Notorious.
Or is that, okay, yeah.
Not just Notorious, and then I also watched. Oh my God, I'm so bad at.
That's okay. Nope, you're remembering the moments. That's what stands out. The moment, not the title. That's
Simon and Garfunkel did it was the first first movie to do a pop band to do their soundtrack.
Okay. So you're talking about? Are you thinking about? The Graduate.
Yeah, The Graduate. Yeah, that was the first time I watched that. Which I'm
kidding.
kind of ashamed of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
just those kinds of like classic movies.
Was at the end were they in love, or was it all over?
Oh man, I think it was one of those things where it's like they realized they definitely messed up, and they had their like little fun stint, but then they were just like, no, we got to be adults.
Yeah, that look on their faces there at the end is
said it all.
It's kind of wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, Blaine, why don't you tell us about somebody you're thankful for?
Somebody I'm thankful for
Yep.
would have to be my father.
Father?
Mark J. Gibson.
Ooh.
The first.
Mark J. Gibson the first?
Wait, I guess the only.
The only?
Yeah.
The unique?
Yes.
Okay.
He is a bigger guy, a rotund dude. He's bald. He's got great facial hair. And he's a football coach.
What defines great facial hair?
He's got it varies. I haven't seen him in a while, but last time I saw him, he had a sweet biker mustache.
Oh.
He just is one of those guys that like he doesn't care what's going on here. He just has fun with it. And
okay.
I appreciate that.
And this is something that within the body domestic is allowed. Like nobody else is upset by this. Everybody's cool with the facial hair.
Yeah, he's like the most lovable football coach. So everybody's like, yeah, it's Coach Gibson.
Football coach. So he's professional football coach.
High school football coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is
professional high school?
Is he
coach.
Teacher first and coach second, or coach first and teacher second?
Man, that's hard because he's like right down the middle. Like he loves teaching history, and I know that you have those football coaches or baseball coaches in high school, and they just show up and pop a movie on and stuff like that. That's not my dad.
That's not your dad.
No, he's super invested in teaching kids.
What's he like about history?
Well, his dad was a World War II veteran.
No, that would be his name's Mark, right?
Yes.
And so that would be Mark the Zero, since he's Mark the First.
That would be Oscar.
Oscar. Yes. Oscar the Seventh.
Oscar
the Seventh of Austria. Yes. Oscar the Grouch.
No,
is your grandpa a Grouch?
No, my grandpa, bless his soul, was a great person.
Okay.
Yes, he raised 7 lovely kids.
Wow, yeah. That's a household.
Yeah,
right there,
which makes family gatherings great.
So Mark is a historian and a football coach and a Texas high school football coach.
Yes, which is a whole different breed of football coach.
Expound.
Well, so in Texas, we've got barbecue. We've got, I don't know, what else do we have? What else do we have in Texas? Well, we've got barbecue and we've got football. Okay. It's like 2 very important things.
Cornerstones of life, barbecue
Tex-Mex.
and football. You have Ted Cruz.
No, we don't.
Okay, so you have barbecue and barbecue and football. All right. So you have barbecue and football. And the barbecue, the beef brisket. Mm-hmm. Another thing, by the way, comes up in the show, barbecue. So beef brisket. What do you think? In the barbecue quadrifecta of the United States, we're going to talk about the 4 prominent U.S. lower 48 schools of barbecue: Carolina, Texas, Kansas City, and Memphis. Mm-hmm. Where do you fall in Texas?
How do you mean? Like where do I think that the ranking is?
Yeah. What's the ranking? Yeah.
Well, I haven't actually tried at those other 3. You said it was one of the Carolinas. What was the other 2?
Carolina's pulled pork. Dry rub pulled pork,
okay.
Or vinegar pulled pork. Brisket in Texas is generally the most famous. Kansas City is brisket with a dash of kind of a sweeter dash to it, and then Memphis is kind of a smoky vibe to it.
Yeah, we're definitely like brisket people. Yeah. And my dad does like ribeye. That's a big thing.
That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
So you do homemade barbecue?
Yes, I actually for Christmas bought him an electronic smoker so he can make his own barbecue.
Oh.
Dad's always been making like great steaks, and he's a master with the meats. It's weird.
Not at all.
He's real good with making foods and stuff. So yeah, he likes it.
Master with the meats. It's a character on He-Man.
Is it?
He was an action figure. Master Meats, yes.
He just threw T-bone steaks.
He hung out with many faces and Beastman. Ever think about like everybody in He-Man, their name is just what they are?
What man? Something man.
Moss Man, many faces, Beast Man.
Man, yeah. I watched the revamped version of He-Man.
Oh.
That was like
He-Man like 2.0?
That was like late 90s, early 2000s, I think.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, how was it?
It was great. It was good.
You like the revamped He-Man?
Yeah, because like, but I always remember the arguments against those cartoons is like, it sets these little boys up for such a hard, like their action figures are like these big pulsing dudes and stuff. And it's like,
whatever. You're like all built and ripped and stuff.
Thanks to He-Man. I just
Thanks
wanted to be
He-Man?
He-Man.
Is that what happened?
I wanted to wield the not the Master Sword. Jesus, Blaine. What was the magic sword? Got it from Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, he would held aloft his magic sword. That was what he'd say. And by the power of the orchestra. Yeah, I have. I don't know. What is that sword called? I don't know if it has his name. Is it just the Sword of Grayskull? It's weird that Skeletor had a purple version of the same sword.
Yeah.
Kind of strange. Actually, in the original like action figures, you could take He-Man's sword and Skeletor's sword, and they would link together and make one big sword.
Oh,
it's really strange. Yeah, that was only in the earliest toys, though.
There was in the updated version. I think you could tear apart Skeletor's swords, and he could dual wield, or he could have one big sword.
No kidding. So wow. Oh wait, our helpful producer right now is holding something out there.
It's the power sword.
Oh, it's a power sword. Excellent. We've got a helpful producer. Helpful producer, you want to come into the shot for a minute here? The helpful producer.
Never met this person.
Yeah, I have no idea who this person is. Hey, greetings everyone. It's the helpful producer. Hello, helpful producer Alana Pierce. So, Blaine, let's go back to your father, Mark, for a second, because I've distracted us with talk of barbecue and He-Man.
He-Man.
Your dad's a football coach. He has gnarly facial hair. Mm-hmm. Why are you thankful for him?
Oh, man. Well, so it was one of those things where when I was a child, being a football coach, that's like your life. Like you are constantly at practice, butt crack in the morning, to late in the evening, especially on game nights. You're just always away. They have weekend practice. So when I was growing up, I didn't really know my dad all that much. It wasn't until I was 10 that I really got to know him.
So this, again, for folks that don't understand high school football in Texas
mm-hmm.
and what it means culturally in parts of that state, can you expound a little, let people know what that's like?
Yeah. So, I mean, every high school has a huge football team. And Friday nights, they have a show, Friday Night Lights. It's all about football. That's the most popular sport in the South by far. I mean, probably even more than baseball. And that's just a big rite of passage. I mean, that's if you play varsity football, then you're like a god at school.
It's a cultural event. It's similar if you've ever heard the reputation of high school basketball in Indiana, for example. Mm-hmm. Similar thing. The entire town is just there. Everybody's into it. Everybody's involved somehow as a booster. I'm saying everybody, but many people in these towns, boosters, supporters, helping out as volunteer coaches, mm-hmm. traveling with the team, supporting them at the games. Your father then, heavily invested in time throughout your childhood. How'd you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I didn't really know what to think of it because I had this guy who I know loved me and I loved him a lot, but I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him.
Did he show affection then too?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. No, he was a very affectionate dad, but at the same time, he's a big, tough guy. And as a kid, and he's a bigger dude too. So as a kid, looking up to this guy, and not really getting to see him all that much, I kind of had mixed feelings, but it wasn't until I started being a ball boy for the football team that I got to go and see what he did. And I had a understanding of why he was.
So ball boy.
Yeah.
First, did you want to be a ball boy? Did you ask him or did he ask you?
I think initially I didn't want to. I think he saw that as an opportunity for me to get familiar with the game and to hang out with him. And I was reluctant at first, but then it was one of those things that I did it for years, and I was so happy for it because I got to hang out with my dad. I remember so many times, J.J. Pierce High School specifically out in Richardson, Texas, during halftime, there's this pickup truck, and it was Billy's truck. Billy was the medic, and he would lower the hatch in the back. My dad and I would just sit there. And I even remember a coach saying one time he caught us, we're both dangling our legs off the side of the truck. My dad reaches around, picks a wedgie, and then I reach around and pick a wedgie. And it's we were just clones of each other.
I love that one of your fondest memories of you and your father early in life is of both of you picking at your butts.
But it's just
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
And delightfully human.
Yeah. It is.
So a ball boy, what's a ball boy do?
A ball boy has to keep the balls dry. So rain days are nightmares for ball boys. So they always have to keep balls clean. If a ball goes, out of bounds, you got to make sure that you get the referee a new ball. Got to go collect that ball. Got to wipe down with a cloth.
Okay.
It's just always keeping the balls clean and aired up and everything.
Because in American football, for those of you watching overseas, the ball changes out fairly constantly in rain, right?
It does.
I mean, they're trying to keep that because friction becomes very important when you're trying to grip that weird. American football is a weird ball.
Yeah.
It's kind of a strange thing, isn't it? I mean, so you started out a ball boy. Did you end up playing for your dad?
Yes, I did. So I actually... So this is, God, the more I tell this story, the more I realize, this guy doesn't sound like he was that great of an influence at all. I'm getting there, though.
Okay.
So I started out going to grade school and middle school with my mom. She was also an educator, and I went to her school district. And then it ended up, I went to high school, and my dad, right before ninth grade, which is when you go to high school in Texas, he said, do you want to go to the high school that I coach at? I would like to coach you. It's your choice. I know that you have your friends here in town, but I feel strongly about this. He gave me the option, and I said,
"Wow,
yeah, no, I want to." I
take you a long time to make the decision, or was it quick?
I think it was always kind of just like made up in my mind. Like it was just understood. Like being the ball boy and being around the football field and stuff like that. I just always knew that someday I would get coached by my dad.
Okay,
so it was just kind of in the cards, and that's how it worked out. And yeah, that freshman year was rough because I went to a new school district. I was a freshman in high school, didn't have any friends. And that's when I really, 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 aside from the football games, started to get to know my dad. It became a thing that I would go to his classroom and eat lunch with him because I hadn't made friends yet. And even when I did make friends, still go to his classroom, eat lunch with him.
Okay.
So I just really got a lot of quality time.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of
So what's lunch with dad like?
Lunch with dad typically involves going to his high school history class. I would help him grade papers, but we would mostly just talk about what was going on with my education. And he was...
Did he take an interest in that?
He did. And he actually was very supportive of my theater education.
Theater education, really?
Yeah.
What kind of theater education?
I was really big into stage productions and stuff. I was even in musicals when I was at that high school because that was a big deal for that school.
On stage or backstage?
No, on stage.
On stage,
yeah,
okay.
acting and even singing and dancing and stuff like that. And
are you a dancer?
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Not
but you
since
were.
high school.
What kind of dancing?
It's it's like this Broadway type plays. So we did Peter Pan, you know, and I was Toodles the Lost Boy. So
that's awesome.
We had this whole choreographed
Not
thing.
Rufio?
Not Rufio, no.
Not Rufio? It's too bad. Nobody's as cool as Rufio.
No.
It's hard. How are you going to find a Rufio?
Exactly.
But, okay, so you were Toodles. You danced.
Yes. And,
did you sing?
Yes, I did. I even had a solo part in one of my songs. One of the songs had a little solo for Toodles.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah,
right?
It was.
So your dad encouraged you in theater?
He did. He absolutely did. Which you would think a high school football coach, he wants his son to be tough. He wants him to be, but no. Even now in Rooster Teeth productions, when I'm doing just wacky stuff on the camera, my dad's just like, man, I showed your video to all of my coaches and stuff like that. And
so your dad watches your stuff?
Yeah. He's super proud of it. And the best thing ever is Rooster Teeth has a pretty big community. And if I'm ever hanging out with them, we're going to, the store while I'm in town. And somebody comes up and they say, hey, you're Blaine from Rooster Teeth. My dad just I can't take you anywhere. It's he just gets really excited. So
you've been with Rooster Teeth how long now?
I've been with Rooster Teeth for, I think, I'm going on 4 years if you're including my internship.
Wow. Your dad ever come and watch you film?
He hasn't been on set with me yet.
You haven't done it yet?
I would really, you just made me think I should really get him on one of my sets so we can see me
just
work.
to see it happen. Yeah. It's kind of amazing. We work strange jobs. We have strange careers, and explaining those careers to parents I found to be a very fascinating challenge. My mom and dad have proved to be remarkably agile in their efforts to understand what I do for a living as I moved throughout the industry. But still, having these kind of weird science fiction jobs that we do with parents, it's the idea that you can bring your parents to a shoot. Yeah. Very few people get that opportunity. That's kind of extraordinary. So besides football and history and encouraging you in your pursuits, what's your dad enjoy?
Well, he has a very specific genre of movies that he enjoys. And it's typically action 80s and stuff like that. So we'll watch movies together and kind of talk about the favorites and our classics and stuff like that. I'm trying to think what else he enjoys. He really likes food. We talk about food, and we go and get food a lot, and we eat together.
Okay. So eating is a big part of life.
Yeah, but aside from that, I mean, it's the strange thing about my dad is even though we're super close, we almost have nothing in common. Like our political beliefs don't match up. We lead kind of different lifestyles in terms of health, and I don't play football, don't enjoy football anymore, but he still is very into it.
When did you stop?
I mean, after high school.
So you played for him and then not anymore?
Yeah, there was no point. To me, I'd been around it my whole life, and I had been working up to that goal of being coached by my dad. Once I reached that point, I was done with it.
How do you feel about you not trying to play for UT?
I think he understood that wasn't going to happen. Yeah. Now, and that was the thing, too, is there was a crossroads, another one where I went to the high school with him. He gave me that decision. At one point in time, I was pretty successful playing defense, but my dad is an offensive line coach. Offensive line, this is the biggest guys on the field.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you want to play for defense? That's fine if you do. You just won't be able to be coached by me. But, it's like, if that's what you're more successful at. And I said, Dad, I came to this school to get coached by you. So even if I'm undersized, I'm going to play offensive line. So I was like the smallest offensive lineman on the field.
So you played OL. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what would you play then? They have you like at guard?
I played a tackle. I was a lot bigger back then. I've actually since lost like probably 40 pounds since high school. But I tried my hardest and played tackle. Wasn't the best, but my dad was still proud of me no matter what.
For doing that. So did you completely defense behind then, or did you play on both sides of the ball?
I played both sides of the ball for freshman year, but after once you reached JV, then you had to do one or the other.
Had to commit to one or the other.
Pretty much.
I wondered about that. So what's it like for you playing ball? Did you enjoy it?
Practices, yes. And games, no. Games was the most stressful thing, and I think that's that's some of the most anxious I've felt. Is just the pressure and stuff like that. But I was actually there for it more from just hanging out with my pops and the camaraderie of being on the football team.
Well, I have to ask you, you'd express anxious. How so, Blaine, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, was it the tension of all the eyes on you? Was it your father being there watching?
I think it was mostly just not messing up. So where if I walked off the field, my dad just being there and making sure I knew, because he held me accountable more so than other players, because he knew that I was, he's taught me better, So if I missed a block, or if I messed up a snap, because I played center sometimes too, he'd be right there. We've been through this. You know how to do this. So, and it sounds like a very harsh upbringing, but it's given me a work ethic that I don't think I would have had if I hadn't experienced that with my dad. And because of that, I think I've achieved pretty cool things.
What was it like to disappoint him in a moment?
So football coaches, they're also known for being very loud and shouty. And that's something...
Tony Dungy aside.
And I think that's something that's kind of going away from today's culture. A lot of kids are a little bit more pampered than they were. Mm-hmm. But my dad is very old school. So not that he would ever be violent or anything like that, but I do remember my dad being so close to my face and hollering at me that I could feel the spit coming off. And those were just, it made me want to do better, Mm-hmm. So, and when I had my education going on and things got stressful there, it was never as stressful as I wanted to prove that I could do things for my dad.
And you felt like you had a choice to keep coming back, like somebody's shouting in your face.
Yeah.
And you just screwed up on the field, and he feels like you can do better. And the moment's come to try to do the next thing. What is it like for you when you walk back out on that field after that?
It's just a renewed desire to want to succeed. It's it's just like digging yourself up. You've reached your lowest low, and then just trying to fight your way back up. And that's just been a lesson that's been brought with me ever since then.
What's the angriest you've ever been at your dad?
I don't know. It probably comes down to politics.
Really?
And I'm not going to say which way I lean or the other. And I'm not going to insult him for his political beliefs. And I don't want anybody else to think that he's a bad person because of who he voted for. But that's definitely something that's a point of contention between my dad and I.
So it's something that's happened in your adult life then.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. And it was really rough because like we both he was raised in a certain setting and I was raised by him, and I think he wanted to pass on his beliefs to me and for me to kind of find my own path. But we both realized that he, at one point we sat down and talked, and he said, you're your own man, and I respect that you have your own opinions. And I said, and I'm sorry that I think differently than you. And I said, and I don't want politics to ever come between us. And since then, we've just agreed, we just don't talk about it.
Okay, so it's become something off out of the realm of discussion. Yeah. But there was a moment of anger that led to that then.
Yeah.
Was he angry too?
Yeah, it was a pretty heated thing. But that's the thing about my dad and I, is like we could just go from yelling and shouting at each other to going and getting a corn dog from Wiener Schnitzel and just being totally cool about it.
Okay.
We were able to just flip that switch.
What's the proudest you ever remember your father being of you?
Well, I do remember freshman year of high school. I was on the football field. And this is probably the most proud he's been in terms of athletics. But I remember since I was a smaller guy, I was on the defensive line, and they were about to go in. We were on the 1 yard line. They're about to score, so we had to really buckle down our defenses and make sure that we were going to block that goal. And they passed the ball off to this dude that was easily double my size, just this huge monster of a man. So I see a gap open up, the offensive lineman push out of the way, and this dude, I guess they're running back or whoever he was, just running towards me. And I just remembered everything my dad taught me. I got a hunkered low, low center of gravity, and just picked him up and just threw him on the ground. Just anything to stop this guy from scoring. And I remember standing back up, and I'm like, oh my God, I blocked the goal. I did it, okay. And I buckled up my helmet because it popped off in the process. And I ran to the sideline, and my dad's got the biggest smile on his face. And he stops me, and he turns me around, and he looks out there, and this is a horrible thing to be proud of, but I injured the guy. I hit him so hard I injured the guy.
Oh, my. Yeah. Oh, God.
So I think I knocked the air out of him pretty hard, and my dad was just like, you gave that kid a hit. I'm real proud of you.
Wow.
It's a very violent thing.
That's an unusual moment of pride there. Was the guy okay in the end?
He was fine.
Okay,
yeah.
Good.
And it was one of those things that if I had known, I would have absolutely given him a hand to up.
No, I grew up in a household where football was very very appreciated from afar. Mm-hmm. But my father played extensively, and I grew up in a house where it was kind of a different situation. My father had been way into it, and so he wanted me away from it.
Oh, really?
Which was really interesting, and I was actually interested in it, and he did everything he could to push me away for the same reason. So this discussion, there's been a lot of stories that are very familiar.
Yeah.
But some of them from kind of the opposite way. Yeah, this is really interesting to me. I appreciate you being willing to share that. But yeah, I've thought a lot about the role of it. It is a impact sport.
It is,
to say the least. How do you feel about that now?
Just what, football in general?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that, like, again, I don't play it. I was just in it to hang out with my dad, and those were, the time that I got to go to school and be coached by him and just kind of hang out with him in the classroom and things like that. Those are 4 years that most kids do not get to get with their parents. It's a relationship that most people don't have, and I'm so grateful for it, because when I think back to high school, I don't think about prom and I don't think about all the events and stuff. I think about hanging out with my dad.
Your father. Yeah. That's really cool. What's the moment you were most proud of him?
So we recently went through a hard time. My sister gave birth to this beautiful baby boy, and he came out with issues with his lungs, to where basically the oxygen wasn't. It basically was going. It's hard to explain, and I can't remember what the problem was, but it was some sort of miscommunication with his heart and his lungs.
Okay.
To where the oxygen was not getting to where it needed to go.
Okay.
So when he was born, it was immediately like they had to fly him to another hospital, and it was just madness. We didn't think that he was going to make it through. And my dad was such a rock for the whole family. I mean, he just really brought us all together, and that was just a level of strength that I don't think that I can.
When you say brought you together, what did he do?
I mean, it was just having a plan, making sure that we executed on it, being there for my mom because she's freaking out, being there for my sister. He's just being the Papa Bear, just the person that we needed in that time, and he was there for us. And now the kid is perfectly healthy. I'm not going to mention his name out of respect for my sister's privacy.
That's fine.
He is his favorite is by far my dad. You go to a crowd of people and you sit that kid down on the ground, he'll immediately go raise his arms out for my dad. Sorry.
Oh, your dad's got that cool facial hair going on.
Yeah, I think that's why. But yeah, you can even walk up and he'll be holding him, and you'll reach over and he'll hold on to his.
What's your dad's dream that he's never gotten to do yet?
Dream that he's never gotten to do.
Yeah, is there something out there that your dad has hoped for that he hasn't yet gotten to realize?
We've only recently started getting into travel, and I feel like some sort of sick cruise just to go out, because he was raised in Oklahoma, and he had a ton of brothers and sisters, so they didn't have a lot of money, and he had to really fight for what he has now. And right now him and my mom are very well off, and they've worked hard for what they've gotten. And they've only recently started to go to beaches and things like that. So he always talks about going on a cruise, and it seems like a really simple dream, but he's been able to check things off his list. He's gone through a weight loss thing. Yeah. He's gotten the crazy sports car during the midlife crisis. And I think the next big thing is for him to just go and travel and have a great time on vacation.
Some of the best dreams are the simple ones.
Yeah.
That's it. I think that's a good place for us to do that hard left turn into the second part of the show, instant noodles. But before we do that, we want to thank our Patreon producers, Nick Rie and Robert Nader, whose generous support makes the show possible, as well as all of you watching and listening to Pockets Full of Soup, whether it be on iTunes or Android or YouTube or ye old other platforms. You can join us in the free Pockets Full of Soup Facebook group. And why wouldn't you? We're a pleasant bunch. Join the Super Friends. Have a lot of fun over there. Also, hey, money is nice. If you'd like to give me some, patreon.com/Jared Petty. That's patreon.com/Jared Petty. That's a good place to go and give money to keep Pockets Full of Soup and all the other things we're doing. Things like Pockets Full of Quarters, A Pretty Good Day, At All, etc. All kinds of fun stuff. We've got some pretty groovy bonuses. You should check them out. Also, you can buy a t-shirt with my weird face on it. All right, so those are things that can happen. Why would you want to do that? I don't know, but someone does for some reason.
I want a t-shirt of Jared Petty's face.
That can be arranged. Mexico will draw it, and I look wonderfully ridiculous. It's a really delightful picture by Max.
To see one of those.
It's pretty silly. But Blaine, are you ready for the lightning round, instant noodles? Are you set to answer the hard-hitting questions that the people of America want to know?
This is the first question, isn't it?
By say people of America, I mean also those of you in the UK, Australia, and other nations. That is the first question.
Yes.
All right.
I'm ready to go.
All right. What is best sandwich?
Grilled cheese.
Right, street grilled cheese, just like we talked about.
Keeping on.
We hit that. Very good.
Consistency.
If you could travel through time and meet any one person, who would it be and why?
I'd have to go back to Clint Eastwood during the Dollars trilogy filming.
Oh, why do you want to talk with him?
Yeah, he's such a badass. He's the American man in that movie.
Okay.
No comparison.
But you want to talk to Eastwood himself during that period. What do you want to ask him about? What do you want to talk with him about?
Well, he became a successful director, and I want to become that. So I just want to see what skills, but also just kind of what's going through his mind. Yeah. Because apparently he didn't enjoy that cigar, so that's why he always looks so mad. But
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's the smoke coming into his eyes, and he just...
So for people who haven't watched The Man with No Name trilogy, sell them on it right now.
Oh, God. Well, the original Buddy Cop was in For a Few Dollars More, and that was Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood. And I would say that that's like the original Buddy Cop movie.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
They have a phenomenal dynamic. It starts out when they're low point, where they're not really liking each other. They're opponents, and then they end up being, well, go see it for yourself. But, you've heard of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and that's one of the greatest classics in American cinema. And they made these things. They're spaghetti westerns, so they're made dirt cheap. Out in Italy.
Yeah, it's kind of pseudo. You say American cinema. I mean, it is, but there's filmed in Spain, but also produced by. Yeah, there's a whole other.
In the score, God, there's just so many amazing components to it.
But yeah, he's right. These movies are great. You should really watch them. Eli Wallach, man, in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, just unreal.
Yeah,
guy's incredible. Wonderful, wonderful films. All right, so let's run down that film road for a second. Okay. What's one movie everyone loves that you just don't get?
I'd have to say it would be, What's that one with there's like a whole drug thing going on?
Okay, well, that's a lot of movies. Let's narrow it down.
The guy just recently came up with that movie, Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream. There we go. Okay, so Requiem for a Dream. What about it? Just like
I don't think I've watched it to completion because it's one of those movies that like I think you have to go and then you have to take a shower immediately after, and I want to feel good at the end of a movie. You know,
do you watch sad movies?
Yes, I do. Like, there's Sicario is the most recent one that I can think of. That's not the greatest, happiest ending, but like, there's those things are like contemplative and you really think about it afterwards. But yeah, Requiem for a Dream, it just seems like just awful things happening again and again and again.
It's difficult to watch.
It's grating, and I just don't like that.
I like the film, but I understand how it could wear somebody down. Definitely. What's a movie you cry at that you're kind of embarrassed you cry at?
A movie that I cry at, I'm embarrassed to cry at.
Yeah,
man. Don't judge me, but the Wachowskis came out with Speed Racer, and that's got some real good performances, despite its stupid look and just like everything being bonkers crazy. Like when he's talking to his mom and she's talking about like how he needs to pursue his passion for racing, it still hits me.
And you cry
a little bit. I tear up.
First off, I want to be clear. I like that movie.
Yeah,
but I am trying very hard not to judge you right now for crying in the middle of it. I shouldn't, but I really want to.
It's just such a pretty movie, and there's so much going on. And there's emotions.
Thank you for the bravery for telling us that, because that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I weep like a baby at the end of Rocky every time. It doesn't matter. 40 I can watch it 40 times. Yeah. I still cry when he loses that fight. It's the best. It's just one of the most wonderful things because he loses and he wins, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway.
Solid flick. He's coming out with Creed 2. Apparently he's directing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No kidding. Creed deserves a sequel. I mean, I didn't. Creed was the Rocky movie I didn't know we needed.
Yeah.
I was shocked by how good that was.
Rocky Balboa was another Rocky movie that we didn't really know.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew that these would be good?
Rocky 4, we can put that one, we can forget about that one.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I guess because it's such a self-parody now. Like Rocky 4 became a better movie viewed through the lens of just a piece of commentary on a place and time.
Okay.
It became a better movie when you look at it as irony. When it came out, it was not good.
Yeah.
And it's still not a good movie. But
Tommy
it's just
Gunn?
Like, no, it's just a... Oh, wait, no, that's Rocky 5.
Whoa, my God. Okay, wait.
I'm talking about
Rocky 4's Drago, isn't it?
Yeah, Ivan Drago.
Rocky 4 is great. I love it.
That's not a good movie.
Ivan Drago's the best. He's so scary. I must break you.
I must break you.
That's great.
He's like a piece of iron.
Sorry, Rocky 5 is awful.
No, Rocky 5 is awful. In this, there's agreement. All right.
Oh, I'm embarrassed now.
No, don't be embarrassed at all. What's your favorite word?
Oh my gosh, I've been using it a lot lately. It's got a PSEU. No.
Psu?
No.
Psu?
It's
Psu.
Pneumatics.
Pneumatics.
It's one of those words where the P is silent and you feel smart for saying it.
Exactly.
And I've organically said pneumatics.
That's right.
Like 3 times in the last 3 months.
Pneumatics is fun. I also like how you said organically said pneumatics. Like that's an amazing 3 words to put together. Pneumatics from the Greek pneumas, meaning wind. There we are. That's it. Yeah, actually, that is where it's from.
You know Greek?
Actually, but I'm very misspent 8 years of college, and not any useful Greek, only ancient Greek.
I would argue that it was useful because somehow it helped you get where you were now.
Well, like if I go to Greece, that's a very kind thing to say, but like if I go to Greece, I'm useless. Like all I can, bring me the Rosetta Stone. I'm kind of helpful. Otherwise, I'm not a lot of use. What's the first word you think of when you hear the sound of your own voice?
Annoying. Yeah, sorry. I'm really down on myself.
Oh, don't be down on yourself. You're great, Blaine.
It's hard for me to listen to like old podcasts and be like,
What's the first video game you remember playing?
The first video game? Oh, man. I think it's got to be the old SpiderMan game for Sega Genesis.
Yeah? The Genesis SpiderMan game?
Yeah, I remember there was this one mission where it always freaked me out. And I didn't find out until years later. It was a spider sense, but he had these like little
the spider sense waves that come out of his head.
Yeah, but that means that there was things coming down and move over, you idiot. And I was just like, what? Spider-Man's sick. He's poisoned. was just like, I didn't realize that until later.
Yeah, that's from the comic book, and that's why. But that would make sense if you didn't have any context for that. You'd just be like, why is Spider-Man's head on fire?
Yeah.
It's kind of great.
It was very upsetting to me. I thought it was a glitch.
Kept
sense. Restarting the game, in fact.
That's awesome. Did you ever play that weird Shinobi game on Genesis where they did totally, at least early on, didn't pay for the license for Spider-Man, Batman, or Godzilla, but they all show up in the game as bosses?
No. That sounds incredible.
It's only in the first run of the cartridge, but you're like a ninja, and at different points you fight Spider-Man, Batman, and Godzilla. Then they made them take them out. Then later on, the makers of the game apparently got the license for Spider-Man, so they actually put him back in.
Nice.
Like, it's really funny.
No, not many games on Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it's got that. There we go. Who was your first kiss?
That was, I think, Maggie.
Miss Maggie? How old were you?
Oh, God. I'm so embarrassed to admit this. That was... oh, wait. No, it wasn't. It was... was her name Tristan? No, it wasn't.
Don't remember the name anymore?
No, I do. I can lay the scene out. I'm gonna keep her name out of it because I want to keep it safe. You know, for privacy sake. I don't remember her name. It was we were at a Halloween party. She was dressed as Tinkerbell, and I told her I was gonna come showing up as like a superhero. But then I ended up surprising her. I showed up as Peter Pan to her Tinkerbell. And her parents were chaperoning the party, and they were watching us dance, and they watched us have our first kiss, which is just horrifying.
Wow, our parents were watching. How was the kiss?
That was basically it.
But how old were you?
That had to have been 15 or 16.
Oh, that's adorable. You were dressed as Peter Pan, and your parents were watching the kiss.
My mom made that Peter Pan outfit for me because my mom's an amazing seamstress. But in that instance, she wasn't, because she picked out the worst fabric that was just terrible on my skin, and I feel like I came out with a rash. Not a great Halloween.
Yeah, but you did get a kiss.
I did get a kiss. It was my first kiss.
There you go. I mean, isn't adolescence just the worst?
It's awful. It's just nonstop awkward memories.
How did any of us survive it? All right, always the last question, Blaine. Cake or pie?
Pie.
You have chosen wisely.
Specifically, pumpkin.
Oh, pumpkin pie.
So
all right.
Good.
So would you then disagree with Garrison Keillor's assertion that the best pumpkin pie you've ever had was not that much better than the worst pumpkin pie you've ever had, or would you agree with that?
No, that's pretty spot on. Yeah. Like, you can go to Kroger or any grocery store, and it's just like, just get one of their pies, and it's amazing.
I wondered how you felt on that. How you felt on that.
No, yeah. I don't have a crazy palate when it comes to pumpkin pie.
He said that, and he said pumpkin pie is just an excuse to eat nutmeg, which I thought was very funny.
Nice.
Yeah, pumpkin pie is really good. And it's that time of year for pumpkin pie.
Yeah, it is.
Pumpkin pie. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. It really is. Blaine, thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
Bet.
I'm really, really happy to get to know you. Where can folks find you, see your work, know what you're up to?
People can find me at Rooster Productions. I work on a show called $1 Million But, and we talk about crazy scenarios, what you would do for $1 million. I write and direct it. Well, I guess I direct it. It's a show that we adapt from an interview and podcast, and then we put it into live action form. And then I guess they can find me on Twitter.com. I'm just B-Gibbles. And then I'm the Blaine, _Blaine on Instagram. Why you would want to follow me on either of those is beyond me, because I'm very...
Why the self-disparaging nature here?
I think my last tweet was about I can't even remember what it was. It was like a Star Wars reference. It was like Jabba the Hutt or something. I don't know.
Chuta.
That's good.
Well, thank you very much. But anyway, Blaine, thank you for joining us on the show today. Thank you for watching and listening. Super friends, you keep us going, and it means a lot to me. You've changed my life, and you continue to every day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.